Hi, I'm Chris Calcutt from Novation. I'm here at GetintheMix in Colchester with the guys here, and we're going to have a look at the LaunchPad Mini. Now the LaunchPad Mini is basically a smaller version of the very ubiquitous LaunchPad S. Here we have the LaunchPad S. You can see the different sizes in comparison. Now in terms of what the LaunchPad Mini can do, it can pretty much do anything that the LaunchPad S can do, but it's just in a much smaller format. So what we have are 64 backlit LED buttons. We have 3 colours LED. We have orange, red and green. We also have these function buttons across the top. Now this is a slight difference from the original LaunchPad because these are now numbered and lettered. Whereas on the original LaunchPad you would have arrows, session user 1, user 2 and mixer modes, and then all the mixer modes running vertically. The reason we've done this is that inside the box with the LaunchPad Mini you get overlays, and the overlays can be used for either Ableton Live or they could be used for FL Studio as well. The LaunchPad is now a great controller for all the FL Studio users out there. There's a huge amount of control for that particular software just from the LaunchPad alone. But I've got it here plugged directly into Ableton Live, and so we'll go through some of the functionality that you get with the LaunchPad. Now this is obviously appropriate for LaunchPad Mini, but also for the LaunchPad S as well. So the first thing is that we have our, well, session view. This is actually equates to number 5, and if I had my stickers on here you'd be able to see that this would say session view. The session view directly relates to what we have in Ableton in terms of the clips and the musical sections, if you like, within the session view, and we can trigger these whenever we like. So I can just trigger a clip like so, and then maybe I want to bring in another clip when I'm ready, so we'll just trigger that as well. Now if I need to navigate my way around, these green buttons at the top here let me do so. Now if I press this up button, oh that's left and right, I beg your pardon, it's a bit strange doing this upside down, so we'll try that again. If I use the up button here, you can see I now can access my different samples across the screen, and you can see on the screen here we have this nice purple outline to show me what I'm doing. If I press one of the circular buttons at the end, we'll actually trigger a whole row of clips. Okay, and if I press the top row, just simply because I've got the tempo written in there, it will transfer me back to the original tempo that I wanted. In this instance we can see there I've got 125 BPM in my scene launch there. Okay, so this is the session mode, and it really allows me to improvise with the clips and the music content that I have in the actual session view. Okay, now we have other modes as well. I'm going to move all the way over to the button on the far right, and this will take me into mixer mode. Now in mixer mode we have a number of different options available to us here, including this top one, which now becomes a volume control. So now we have 8 faders. So if I want to bring elements of the music down, very straightforward. And then I can bring them back up instantly by just pressing the volume button up at the top here. Again, if I need to move left and right, I can do so and can access all my different sections. Okay, the next button down will put me into pan mode. Now this now allows me to change the position of the particular sample in the stereo spectrum. So if I want to send things out to the left or right, I can just use this to send things out to the different sides. So I can do everything out of the left, everything out of the right, everything central. So it's a really powerful little controller. This next mode allows me to access my send effects. We have access to 2 different send effects. And the send effects are secondary channels that we set up over here that we can send the music to. And I've set these up with effects on. So the first one is with a ping pong delay, the second one is with a reverb. In this mode, I can now send perhaps these 2 tracks out through the ping pong delay. And then I can turn it off instantly. Maybe send the next 2 channels out, and again turn them off. I can also access send B, which in this instance is a reverb. Let's put that on all of them. And again, turn that off. So this is our mixer mode. Also in mixer mode, we have other things that we're able to do. For example, we can stop all the clips. If I press this button, this will act like a scene launch on the stop row. Or I can stop individual clips if I want to. I also have this row of buttons which act as on-off switches for each of the channels. This row underneath, which allow me to solo or listen to individually the different channels that we have there. So that will isolate this particular channel so we can't hear the other channels that are playing. And then finally, I have my record enable buttons as well. And this lets me choose a channel that I might want to record onto. Okay, so that's the mixer mode. But other modes that we have are user 1 and user 2. Let's have a look at user 1. In user 1 mode, this acts like effectively like a drum rack controller. A drum rack in Ableton is a device that allows us to put many samples, up to 128 samples, in a sample player. And here I've got a whole load of samples set up for me. In this mode, I'm able to actually trigger the drum samples. So we've got a load of kick drums there. And running up, I have a load of samples to choose from. Now this is great because what I can do now is use a combination of both the session mode and the user 1 mode to actually prepare and perform my own clips. Let's do this. So if I go back to session mode, and what I want to do is just trigger a simple drum sample. In fact, we'll just go for a simple kick, 4 on the floor kick drum, just as a frame of reference, a timing reference for me. So if I trigger the clip here, okay. Now, in the next mode, I go to my next channel here, and I'm going to create what we call a dummy clip. And I'm just going to basically press the button, it'll go into red, into record mode. And now if I press the button again, it's now giving me an empty clip. And in this clip, I can start to perform. So let's go to user 1 mode. Now, I've already pre-mapped this button here using MIDI map within Ableton to act as an overdub button. This allows me to turn the clip that's playing from standard play mode into record mode. This is handy because I can actually go into standard play mode and audition the sound I want. So we'll go for that kick. We'll go into record mode, and now there we are. Come out of record mode so I can now choose a different sound. We'll go for that hi-hat. Go into record or overdub. Come out of record mode, find a snare or clap. We've got that clap. Go into overdub. So we're now starting to create the music, but directly in the live performance mode. So let's come out of overdub. Let's go back to our session view, and we'll add some new clips to that. Back to mixer mode and stop all the clips. Okay, so that's user 1 mode, and as you can see, it's a really powerful way of using the drum racks within Ableton to actually create your own musical content. But what if we want to control those drums as well, in terms of parameter changes and that sort of thing? Again, we can do that using Launchpad, really straightforward. Let's just go back to my drum clip that I've just created, which is this one here. Okay. Now, we'll see in my channel strip at the bottom here, I have an auto filter. It'd be great if we could use the Launchpad to control the drums in terms of entering notes, but also control some of the effects parameters as well. Let's go to user 1 mode, just put the MIDI mapping back on so we can see the lights. Now, if I go back to user 2 mode, what we've got now is the ability to be able to use these rows horizontally to control parameters within our devices. Let's have a look at this quickly. If I go into MIDI map mode in Ableton, which is really straightforward, Command and M, click on the parameter I want. In this instance, I'm going to click on the cutoff point for this filter. I'm going to press this button on the top row and this button on the top row, and I've now mapped that whole row to control the cutoff point of the filter. I'm going to do the same now for the cue or resonance point. So press this button, and now I have 2 rows of control for the actual drum sample. So let's have a listen. Let's get the cue down. So we can also use the switch to just jump. So there we've got a good look at the LaunchPad Mini. As I mentioned earlier, everything that we've done on LaunchPad Mini in this demonstration, we can also do on the LaunchPad S. The real difference between LaunchPad Mini and LaunchPad S is really the size, but also LaunchPad S has obviously bigger buttons and is actually quite a nice bright controller. It's perfect if you're going to be working, say, outdoors or in brightly lit conditions. So the LaunchPad Mini, as we've mentioned, we have our session view for controlling and launching clips, user 1 for being able to work with drum racks, user 2 where we can assign parameter controls to rows of buttons on the LaunchPad, and then our mixer button page, which gives us access to our volume faders, our pan controls for left and right control, 2 send effects, and then in the mixer page we also can stop our clips, turn channels on and off, use the solo function, or record enable our channels. So that's the LaunchPad Mini and LaunchPad S. If you have any more questions, give the guys at GetintheMix a call. Thanks very much for watching.